I have no job. I don't have a boss. I don't have anywhere I work for. I don't even get a paycheck. Yet I am in my own house. I have cars. I have vacations I take. I end up getting to hang out with friends a lot. This next week, we're going on a boating trip to a lake. It's going to be a great time. How on earth am I doing any of that? And why is it that most of you are in a 9 to 5 and you hate your life? It's miserable. You don't get to have any fun. Or at least a little bit of fun you do have, you stress about because you probably wouldn't be able to afford it, but you do it anyway. Well, a lot of that comes down to is there is secrets that I know. No, I'm just kidding. They're not really secrets. That's a little bit of a cheesy thing to say. But there are things that I've learned the way the world works that have actually helped me a lot in life. Now, maybe a lot of you have been told a certain way to live. You go to school, you get a degree, you end up going to work for someone. You get a mortgage, you show up for your 9 to 5, blah, 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 right? We've all heard it. We all kind of know that type of thing. And, I did not fall for that when I was a kid. I did not do that. And, it was a lot of it deep, deep down was because I was very fortunate not to be put into a system per se. I was homeschooled and I was taught to think for myself the best that I could anyway, or that other people could show me how to do it. And it came through a couple of ways. And, I'd be very happy to show that to you if that's something you want to do too. The real concepts here are that a lot of people are followers, they're listeners, they just do what it is that they're told. And they really don't look at reality objectively. They don't see the do this, get that. The world works by a certain set of laws and principles, if you want to call them that. Now, I, at a very young age, got exposed to entrepreneurs. I had people I worked for who were, their own bosses. They just directly did their own business. And I was pretty much connected to them at the hip and got to see how things work. With that all being said, I got to mimic them and go on to end up doing the same things for myself. I have my own construction company. I'm a licensed general contractor and I have a lot of employees. So, all of that being said, I'm not saying that I necessarily have done anything that's easy or anything that's super simple from the standpoint that you can just like figure it all out on yourself. But really, a lot of it is not that complicated. Running your own business, doing all this stuff. There's a lot of steps, but it's nothing that an average person couldn't figure out, right? Um, Now, I bring this all up to point something out to you. I want to show you the principles and the concepts of reality and how it kind of works out. The very first things you really need to understand is that us as humans, we're like these tribal pack animals. And we really just kind of do what it is that we're told to do or what the group is doing. And we follow. It's I'm guilty of it too. It's hardwired into us. It is like the core of our DNA because you know why? 30,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, 300,000 years ago, all this time going back, we survived by living in these groups. And these groups we lived in were our family. They like we literally thought of them as our like direct, you know, um, family members. These groups that we lived in, we had to work cohesively together. And we all had to be under one system, one plan, one operation so that we could effectively procure food, protect each other, etc. It went really deep back then. I mean, it was very clear if you watch any of these documentaries with hunter gatherers that still exist today. They live in the Amazon, they live on the safaris in Africa. These people, the women rear the children, the men go hunt. There's one guy who's usually the leader of the group, call him the chief or whatever. He's not necessarily the best at everything, but that one guy, he ends up making most of the decisions, telling people what to do or giving guidance. And people, they get along together. There's no lone wolves. There's no one person who goes out and does everything on their own. And if people don't each play their role within that, maybe one guy is better at fishing, one guy is better at shooting a bow and arrow, uh, but still to the same purposes, then that group's not going to survive because they had to go against, lions, tigers, bears, oh my, all that stuff, right? Now, that all being said, we're functioning off the same patterns. We really are. And nowadays, the tribal leaders usually are some type of institution, some government figure, or maybe a pastor, or who the hell knows, maybe some celebrity on TV, something like that. And we copy them, we mimic them. It's what we do. Now, I had a little bit of weird scenarios. I wasn't in a public school. I wasn't a part of, like any type of, I wasn't allowed to watch movies as a kid, which is very interesting. I wasn't allowed to really watch any TV shows. Everything that I would watch on a TV had to be pre-screened by my parents before I was allowed to watch it. Stuff like that. So my mimicking that I had going on in my mind didn't copy those people. I was copying the people that I knew in real life that I was interacting with. From like 14 years old, I was working for contractors and I was out learning how to do trades and see how they ran businesses. Now, that was very powerful. I've had a lot of years experiencing that and now done it for, I don't know, 10 years now. But anyway, what I'm trying to get across to you here, you're probably screwed and you're probably in this 9 to 5 because that's what you saw your parents do. That's what you were told to do by, uh, high school teacher, whatever, right? And here's the thing: it doesn't just affect your money. This is kind of like the key, and I'm trying to get you to listen to the real truth here. It goes for everything. Your perspective on reality, your political affiliation, all this stuff. Most all of it is just you're copying. You may say, well, no, I'm a staunch conservative and that's the right thing. It's the best thing. It's what, should be. Or you say, I'm a liberal Democrat and I'm a compassionate person and I'm someone who actually cares about people as opposed to all of these whoever's, right? Look, until you've read books by both sides or you've spent a lot of time, you've gone to rallies for both political whoever, um, and you can argue the other side better than the other person, you're not thinking for yourself. You're thinking what they want you to think, right? It's your in-group preference. You're just picking what you think will cause you to survive, right? Now, with that all being said, you could say I was doing the same thing. I was just mimicking what I saw there. Yeah. But I've done both. I've been employed. I have been, a business owner. I've actually really strived hard at both of them. And here's a big thing: I've tried out probably a dozen different fields, for work. I was a salesman at one point. I did construction for the longest point. I worked in factories. I was in the military. I did a lot of things. I tried them all out because, I didn't want to just do what I was told or whatever. I even went and I attended college classes. I did a lot of college classes. I did them for free. I kind of snuck into a university in Indiana with my friends, and I would hear the lectures. The professors didn't care. I just told me I was just here to see what it is that this is all about, if I'm going to enroll or whatever. But I had an idea of what it was like. And so, with that all being said, there was no one thing I mimicked. I actually got to draw from a wide range of sources to then compare them all, create arguments, and then actually pick the thing that I wanted to go do and what made the most sense. Now, this video topic really is about thinking for yourself, right? Now, the number one thing is when it comes to thinking for yourself, you almost can't do it if you're exposed to one limited set of ideas. If you only have so much that you're exposed to, then that's really all you have to work with and all you can draw a map in your brain of to be able to actually start forming a picture of what reality is and how it works. So, back in the day when people went to college 200 years ago or whatever, um, you would get what was called classically a liberal education. Now, that's not what it means nowadays, a liberal education. You would think that's something to do with just learning, what is it, the race theory or whatever, gender equity studies and stuff. That's not what it was back then. A liberal education back in the day was very unique because most people would learn one specific thing. They would go and they would become a blacksmith, or they would become a carpenter, or whatever. They did apprenticeships and they joined guilds and they would learn from a master at one specific thing. But there were colleges that would offer liberal educations where it was people who would go and study a wide array of things, mathematics, science, history, writing, arts, you name it, and trade stuff, all this. And what would happen when you take a whole bunch of experiences and you put them together, you can come up with something new. Project Veritas was a professor. He had this idea that there are no ideas that humans have that come from nowhere. All ideas, all inventions come from combinations of other things. So the concept would be is that if you have any complex invention, whatever it is, like this phone, for example, it's not one invention. It's like 10,000 inventions. I mean, cameras, microphones, screens, processors, the plastic that holds the phone together, all this stuff, right? You not nobody just went from no phones, no electronics to smartphones. You had to have a gradual progression of stacking technologies. And just like the technologies, ideas, which technologies are representations of ideas, have to come from a lot of learning, a lot of information. So, what I'm getting at here, let's say you want to be the person that I described in the beginning, someone who doesn't have to work for someone else, who has all of these opportunities to be what you want in life, etc. The real thing that it comes down to is you have to start educating yourself, and not just educating yourself by reading books and stuff. You have to go out and you have to find people who have experiences in the things that you want, who have accomplished the things that you want. And you actually have to broaden your horizons. You have to understand both sides of arguments for different things. You can't just get tunnel vision. And once you do that, you start unlocking new possibilities, new life that you could live. You start to be able to navigate the world better. And that's what I really enjoy to do. I'll have to show you my bookshelf. I have books on my bookshelf in my living room from dozens of fields and topics and everything. Not it's not even half the books I've read. Those are just the ones I own. A lot of the books I do are audiobooks or ebooks or whatever. So I don't physically own them all. But the point is that from psychology to history to a little bit on sciences and religion and old, novels like The Man in the Sea, et cetera, like tons of things will give you that better perspective. So one of the things that I'm doing as of late is I have a project called reality mapping. This project that I am doing, I am putting together live streams on Sunday at today, it'll be 4 o'clock. And we're going to do the second episode where we're going to actually tried to map out reality better so we have a better way to understand it and to be able to function in it for whatever your means or your goals are. And then you can end up, all of us together, creating a better world, creating better individual lives so that the world can be better. Was it Confucius or Buddha? One of them said, if every man or person were to simply sweep their own porch, the whole world would be clean. So, look, you have a responsibility. You have to actually first take care of your own life and your own responsibilities before you can go out and help the rest of the world or whatever. For some of you, I mean, that's maybe a bit of a struggle to think about taking care of just yourself or something like that. But look, when you're on a plane and it's crashing, you got to put your own oxygen mask on first and then help the person next to you. If you're a greedy person, you won't have any problem with that at all. You'll be like, yeah, let's get my life together. Maybe you're some of both. Doesn't matter. So today, 4 o'clock, meet me on my YouTube channel. We'll start episode 2. First episode was on truth. The second one was going to be on universal boundaries and the construct we're in. So let's go from there. All right. Thanks. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.